What if we're given an equation that has two absolute values in it? When are they equal? Let's look at a simple breakdown here. So if what's inside the absolute value is positive, then they're both the same. If what's inside the absolute value are both negative, then they're both the same. Or you can have one negative, one positive, and one positive and one negative. And those are just opposites of each other. And it really doesn't matter which side of the equation the negative part is on, because I can just move it to the other side. So when solving the absolute value equations with two absolute values, we're going to look at the fact that they're the same sign. And we're going to look at the fact that they're opposite signs. And which side that's on doesn't really matter. Okay, so solving an equation here, I have the absolute value equal to an absolute value. So I'm going to say, what if they're the same sign? Nothing changes. And I'm going to say, what if one of them has a negative, or is the opposite, right? So let me just move that negative to one side of the equation. Doesn't matter which side, but make sure you put parentheses around it so that the entire side is negative. So I'm going to solve these resulting equations. So let me solve the same first. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides so that x minus 5 equals 5. And then add 5 to both sides of the equal sign so that x equals 10. Now I'm going to solve the one side opposite. So I have to distribute that negative to make sure the entire side is negative. So minus 3x and minus 5. And then I'm just going to solve this linear equation. So add 3x to both sides of the equal sign. Then 7x minus 5 equals negative 5. Add 5 to both sides to get the x term to be the only term here. On the left side, on the right side, that's going to add to 0. And then I need to get x by itself, so divide 7 from both sides, and 0 divided by anything is still 0. So we end up with two solutions here, x equals 0 and x equals 10. And you'll want to check those to make sure that they're true. So if we were to check, let's check 0 first, because that'll be easy. 4 times 0 minus 5, the absolute value equals the absolute value of 3 times 0 plus 5. So that's going to be 0, making that a minus 5. And that's going to be 0, making that a positive 5. So that's going to be true because the absolute value of negative 5 equals the absolute value of positive 5, right? So let's check the other solution then, 10. The absolute value of 4 times 10 minus 5 equals the absolute value of 3 times 10 plus 5. So that's 40 minus 5, which is 35, equals 30 plus 5, so 35. And you see they're the same sign and the same distance, so that's also true for that solution. So those are the two solutions to this equation. Another example here, we have two absolute values. So absolute value equals absolute value. We're going to look at those two situations. The situation where they're the same sign, so don't change anything. And we're going to look at the situation where one side is negative. It doesn't matter which side, I just choose the right side because it's a habit for me. Now, I just said, let's do this side, so I did. Okay? And then we're going to solve both of those equations. So I want my x terms to be on the same side. I'm going to add x to both sides. So 2x plus 2 equals 4. And then I want to subtract 2 from both sides to get 2x on the left, 2 on the right. And then I can divide 2 to find that x equals 1. Now on the opposite, I'm going to distribute that negative. So minus 4 plus x. And then linear equation, let's just solve for x. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Then 2 equals negative 4. And my variable is gone. And you know what that means? It doesn't give me a solution. So I only have one solution in this case when that happens, and that's okay. So then if I were to check to see if that works, that'll be 1 plus 2 in the absolute value of the left side, 4 minus 1 on the right. So the absolute value of 3 equals the absolute value of 3, which is absolutely true because the distance is 3 for both. Don't forget to check your solutions in the equation to verify, just like rational equations. You should probably check these to make sure that everything works out fine and there were no mistakes made here.